Hi, welcome to a new video, and in this one I'm taking a look back on all of the work I posted in September on social media, and you can have a look at all of that if you want to on a video up here. And these are my top 5 images that I took during that month. Well, not necessarily took during that month, but certainly posted on social media during the month of September, and I just want to talk through these 5. Now, I actually put a lot of work up in September. I took a lot of photographs, I edited a lot, I posted a lot. So yeah, this was a really hard choice narrowing it down this month, but here we go. Right, so first up, this is a little bit unusual because while I like photographing what could be, I suppose, considered street photography, most of what I do tends to be abstract buildings, shapes and patterns that I find out and about on the street. I don't normally photograph people out on the street. We've actually got a bit of a mixture of both this month, and the first image, which you'll see now, is the first of those. Now, this is taken in a Korean restaurant in Swindon called The Bap. Absolutely amazing food. And I was on my way to the Swindon Paint Fest, which is a street art festival that's held every year in Swindon, and my wife and I were grabbing something to eat before we went along to that. And the restaurant's got this wonderful mural painted on the wall that you can see is the centrepiece of this, and there were just 2 people sat there, and the way the lighting fell, the way it all fell together compositionally, I just thought, I need to try and grab one of that. So this was taken on my Canon 5D Classic with the 50mm 1.8 on it. Only really had a chance to grab a couple of shots, and this one worked best. I pretty much knew when I was taking it that this was going to end up as a black and white shot, and there is a prevalence of black and white again this month. So I knew this was going to end up as a black and white shot, and I liked the way that the spotlighting in the ceiling was kind of lighting up the different sections of the writing as part of the mural. And I just thought it came together quite well. I think this is around about ISO 400 on the 5D, so not really pushing it grain-wise, but I just like the tonal contrast that you got with the black and white on this. I also like the fact that you can't see what either of the 2 people in the image are doing, so you've got no idea of the context. Are they eating a meal? Are they talking? Are they just having a drink? We'll never know. I don't know. I will never know. So I think it adds that element to it. So that's the first of the street shots with people, and our next image is another street shot with a person in it in this case, and this is actually from later on the same day. So this is one of the people putting together a painting for the Swindon Paint Fest. This is a graffiti artist called Inka Mole, and I took a lot of photographs around the exhibition and live painting demo area at the street fest. And these were all again taken with the 5D Classic. This time, rather than 50mm, I think this was the 35 to 80mm lens that I've got for it that I use. So just a bog standard cheap kit lens. Black and white suited this one when I was editing it. I didn't really have anything in mind in terms of that when I was actually shooting it. What I was more focused on was the fact that Inka here was, as the work was going on, just leaning back, just kneeling down and leaning back to look and get a better perspective of whatever he was doing at the time on that particular piece. And I just felt it just encapsulated what he was doing, and then turning it into a quite contrasty black and white piece, because although the mural that he's painted didn't end up pure black and white, that's pretty much what it was at this stage. So I just thought that contrast played really well together with the bright white of the unpainted areas of the canvas and the black of the clothing, and then the dark grey tones with not a huge amount of light grey tones in here. Just worked really well. And compositionally, as I say, with the leaning back, and it shows the scale of the piece that was being put together. So yeah, those two street photographs with people in them, which is a rarity for me. I might have to try and do more of that. Quite enjoy the way these two came out. And then moving on to our third shot. Now, this one was taken when I was just having a wander around a local country park, Malden Hill, with... I think it mainly went out to take a film camera out with me, which would have been, if my memory serves me, my Canon FTB QL, but I didn't get the photographs from that developed in time to post up in September, so they'll be in the October release. Might make the top 5, we'll have to wait and see. October isn't over yet. But I also took along my Olympus, so my EM1 Mark II, and took a few shots with that, but this is one that, as I was taking it, really stood out. Now, I could have pretty much done this in colour and it wouldn't really have changed the actual colour itself much, because it was relatively overcast on the day I took it. There was a lot of greys around. There'd have been a little bit of colour from the water and that would have been it, but converting this again to black and white just really worked from that point of view in my mind. And it's basically it's a broken piece of reed that then just started, the leaves from the reed just started dropping down into the water, and as it was a really still clear day, it reflected incredibly well, and I just really like the way that this came out. I think it works very, very well as a kind of reflected shot. I also really like the way that when converted to black and white, the graduation is there with the water going from the darker tones at the very front of the image to the light, almost white but not quite tones at the back of it, counterplaying with what's going on with the reed and the symmetry around it. So, you know, you've got that asymmetry of the scale on the water with the symmetry of the broken reed that's in the water. Just really like the way that all came together and worked. So again, one that was fairly sure was going to be black and white when I actually took it, and that was definitely confirmed in editing. So it's 3 black and white shots so far, and to be perfectly honest, we're continuing that trend with the next shot. So the past 3 have all been shot digitally. This one was shot on film, so this is from my little Minox 35EL. Trying to remember what film stock this was. I'm fairly sure this was Fomapan 400, but if I'm wrong on that, I will correct it down below. It's either Fomapan 400 or Kentmere Pan 400, but I'll have to check and put that down below, or on screen, not down below, on screen. So this, believe it or not, this is another street shot of mine, but this is more the abstract architecture that I really like taking. And this, believe it or not, is a local Aldi supermarket, and I spotted this. It was quite a bright day when I took this, so there was a lot of contrast, really blue skies. The white on the side of the building was just really bleached white with the sunlight on there, and then there's this band of windows, but they were just reflecting the sky off of them, and you can see a bit of the clouds down towards the bottom right part of the windows, and it again graduated from darker to lighter as you go down there, and I liked the juxtaposition of the darks and the lights on there. I was really hoping it would come out well, and the film actually managed to capture this incredibly well, because with all of my film work I tend to do no more editing in Lightroom than I would have been able to get away with in a wet dark room back in the day. So really pleased with how this one came out. It suits the aesthetic I really like of the kind of abstract architecture shots that I take a bit of and I really enjoy the results of. So this one, yeah, this was an easy inclusion for the top 5 this month, this one. Quite pleased with how the framing worked out as well, because if you know the Minox 35EL, it's a viewfinder camera, so it's you're not always sure how the framing's going to work out on that one, so you have to have a bit of a guess as far as that goes. And then the final image, this is back to a digital camera again, but we are talking a very old digital camera here, because this was actually taken on a Minolta DiImage 7i, which is a 5 megapixel digital bridge camera that came out in 2002. So 21 years old. Now, by most reckoning, a 5 megapixel bridge camera that is 21 years old shouldn't be able to give you decent results. But the camera itself, and I'm going to be reviewing that in a future video to look at it in more detail, but it's got a cracking lens on it. The lens is really, really, really good. It's nice and sharp. It's decently fast as well. And it's got a CCD sensor on there, and I know everybody, including myself, bangs on about CCD sensors being a bit different and having a different colour science and a different colour look behind them, which gives you this really great look and feel. And I've got to be honest, they do. Don't get me wrong, I've not got any issue with CMOS sensors. It's a bit like having different film stocks available to you, but in the digital world it's rammed into your camera, which is actually, when you think about it, a bit of an inconvenience, but there you go. You know, 3 out of the 5 images I've posted have been on CMOS sensors in this top 5, and I love every single one of them, particularly that sensor on the Canon 5D Classic. It's absolutely brilliant in that regard. But the colours on this, and this was just, I'd walked across a zebra crossing, and this was on the pavement in front of it in the cobbled area that's textured for people who are sight impaired, visually impaired, and somebody had clearly dropped an ice cream, and it had partly melted in the sun, and I loved the way that the ice cream had splattered, the way that the stick was still there. You can still make out, you know, the form of the ice cream, but it had started melting enough that you had this darker coloration that was being lent to the very matte look of the, you know, brick red slabs that it's on, with the actual dots from the texture of the slabs adding into it, you know, and this is kind of ice cream heartbreak here, because this probably really annoyed somebody that they dropped this, whether it was a kid or an adult. I'm fairly certain whoever did this was not pleased about it. Fortunately for me, their misfortune turned into a photograph that I really liked. And really do like, and it came together well. I like the tonal range of the reds against that splash of white in there, and yeah, it just worked for me. And more than anything, not only do I like it as a picture, I like it for the fact that it demonstrates that just because a camera is 21 years old, has a, you know, 5 megapixel sensor that is by all arguments massively out of date, it still works. It's a good photograph. Your mileage may differ on that, but I think this is a good photograph. I think this works, and I also think if I blew this up to, you could probably get away with A3 for this or similar-ish, stuck it on a wall, I don't think people will be able to go, ooh, that was taken with a rubbish old camera, wasn't it? Because I think it just works in its own right. So there we go, that's my top 5 for this month. If I had to pick one that I like the most out of these, I think it would probably have to be the third shot, which is the reed in the reflected in the water. I like the simplicity, I like the cleanness of it, I like the tonal graduation contrasting with the symmetry of the fallen reed. But, you know, let me know which one of these you like down in the comments below, or if you've watched the full video, if you think I've messed up and you preferred another shot or other shots from that video to the 5 that I've picked, let me know about those down below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button, and if you want to see more content like this, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified when new content gets uploaded. But that's all for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and bye.